Hello people of YouTube, I am 2Z Porygon, and I'm about to show you guys a little device right here that was originally created in the early 90s. But before I begin, I just want to let you all know, I haven't reviewed anything in such a long time. I remember many years ago I was reviewing some toys that I own and a few board games. It was either in 2013, 14, or 15 or something like that. I don't remember, but I quit doing those kind of reviews. Well, actually, I quit doing any kind of review after realizing that playing video games for YouTube was something I'm actually good at. But now, today, I'm actually doing a little comeback. In fact, it's a review of a device that's also making a big comeback. This right here is a Tiger Handheld Electronics LCD game. I first heard about these games on an episode of The Angry Video Game Nerd, who's reviewed, well, all kinds of devices that Tiger Electronics have made, including these kind of games, as well as the wrist games, the Gamecom, and of course the R-Zone, which he mentioned was even worse than the Virtual Boy. And then, well, you can see right here, I actually got my hands on something like this. However, this is actually a remastered device. I mentioned that they were originally created in the early 90s, and now Hasbro is bringing these things back, as the AVGN also mentioned in his review of the Mortal Kombat 1 ports. Not to mention, there's actually a Tiger handheld Mortal Kombat game, 2 of them, of course. So, yeah, that's where I made the decision to try one of these games. I got this from a store called Second and Charles, and I found this right here. I found the X-Men game, and they also had games based on Sonic the Hedgehog, The Little Mermaid, and I think there was also a Transformers game. In fact, those were the few games that Hasbro was first starting out with when they started recreating these. But before I get to the game itself, I want to show you the box that it came in. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 90s versions of the Tiger games actually came in boxes like these. But yes, this is the X-Men box. You can see it has a nice picture of Cyclops and Wolverine. There's the X-Men logo, as well as the Tiger Electronics Incorporated logo. And on the upper right, it says, "From the Vault." Yeah, I bet. I bet it's supposed to be like a blast from the past or something. And on the bottom right here, it says it's for ages 8+, and it says it requires 2 AA batteries, Marble, and Hasbro Gaming. Now you know that they're responsible for creating these. Yeah, they're recreating them and selling them back to the public. So anyway, on the back here, you got 2 screenshots of what the game is like. Like you can see the character shooting lasers at Juggernaut. In fact, that's Cyclops, by the way. You got this nice comic book style image of Wolverine slicing and dicing everything like he's good at doing that. But really, that's about... Oh, well, actually, there is this. When I first got this Tiger game, I thought it actually was the 90s version, and that's why I was surprised to see it brand new, but I soon found out that it's not. You can see on the bottom right here, it was made in 2020. So obviously, that means this is actually the remaster version made by Hasbro. But even so, I was kind of glad to actually get my hands on one of these things. Oh, and another thing I want to show you is the game's instructions. And it's a good thing that these came with instructions. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't know how these games work. But yeah. So, it's got all kinds of descriptions on the game and how to play it, as well as other screenshots. You got the how to play section, the stages. It tells you how the stages work. And yeah, that's what I should mention. The X-Men game is divided into stages, and it has 5 of them. And each one gets harder, of course. But here you got more screenshots. It tells you, well, about the enemies and the character you play as, and how to play as that character, and what you do in each stage. And on the bottom right here, it tells you, well, it says each stage presents the special challenges. Like, it tells you what stages that certain enemies and objects appear in, and, of course, the power-ups that appear. And it tells you right here the score that you get for shooting certain enemies. Like, for Apocalypse, you get 20 points, and for Juggernaut, you get 100. And on the back right here, it gives you the illustration of the, the bottom part of the Tiger game. It tells you what the buttons are and what they do. Like, well, there's the ACL button. It's the tiny button that resets the unit, as it says right here. You got the jump and move button, as well as the directions, which, the directions are for the specific directions that you shoot the laser in, except for down, which is for ducking attacks and picking up the X mark power-up. Oh, and and there's this right here. It shows you what kind of batteries it needs, and, well, what do I say? It just shows you and tells you what kind of batteries you need. Like, it uses 2 AA's. And right here it says after battery insertion, the ACL button may be pushed only if the game doesn't work properly, and it even says to use a pen to push the button and not a pencil. Okay, why you can't use a pencil is beyond me. But yeah, that's about the instructions. I want to describe pretty much everything else about the Tiger game myself. So now let's bring it back here. So the X-Men game was the Tiger game that I decided to try out. I mentioned before that there was also the Sonic the Hedgehog, Little Mermaid, and Transformers game. In fact, I have a picture of some of the other 2 games that I found at Second and Charles. And, well, when I first started playing this game, I was actually impressed because this reminds me of another a series of LCD games that I've been receiving from McDonald's when I was a kid. I believe those games were also made by Tiger, and the themes for those games were Spyro, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Crash Bandicoot. I enjoyed those, and playing this game, it really reminded me of that. So this is what the system itself is like, if you can even call it a system. I guess you can. So here you got the direction pad, if you want to call it that. As I mentioned, these control the directions of the lasers that you shoot, the left, right, and up, as well as the down button, which is for ducking and picking up objects, as I remember. As I told you. On the right here, there's the jump button and the move button, which, according to the instructions, is for moving objects in the direction of your laser. And of course, you do a lot of jumping, so that's the one button that you hit the most. There are the other buttons down here. There's the off, down, pause, on start, and the ACL button, which is, pretty tiny, and it's possible to push with fingers. So as the instructions said, you gotta use a pen, not a pencil. On the back here, this right here is the speaker, and this is where the batteries go. Obviously, you need a screwdriver to get that off, and I'm not really going to show anything like that, nor is there any need to. We already established that you use 2 AA's to play this. And here on the screen, you can see the background, although it's kind of hard to see. You can actually see the reflection of me and my phone more than the background. But it looks like a construction site, as I assume it's supposed to be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So now, I believe now is a good time to turn on the game and show you what it's like. So here we go. When you push the button once, it just shows you the high score from the last time you played it, and you have to hit it twice to actually start the game. Okay, here we go. So in this game you play as Cyclops, which makes me happy because he's my favorite X-Man, and you're just going around and firing your lasers at some guy named Apocalypse. In fact, at first I thought he was like a Sentinel drone or something. Well, yeah, you can clearly see what this is like. The Tiger games are, as the ABGN mentions, that they use the most primitive technology possible. Let me pause this real quick because it's hard to concentrate on telling you what it's like and playing at the same time. So the Tiger games are pretty primitive for handheld systems. The graphics, if you can even call it that, are the still images like you see right here in front of a, well, not in front of, but in front of that is a clear screen, like an animation cell, and the sprites that you can see are the static images that represent all the characters and objects. Excuse me if it sounds like I'm trying to copy the Angry Video Game Nerd, but then again, how can I not? Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna continue with the game, and I'm actually gonna turn off the beeping because they're kind of loud. Did it unpause? Oh, you have to hit the start button again. So, as I mentioned, this game is divided into stages. There are 5 of them, of course. And you also, well, as you're going along and fighting Apocalypse, you have a health bar, and it also runs on a life system, and you have 3 of them. There is a power-up, like, there's a sun. Oh, see, like right there. A sun appears, and when you jump and touch it, you regain health. And as Apocalypse attacks, there are certain situations where you have to, most of the time you have to jump and then shoot him. Oh, and here we are at the end of the first stage where you encounter Juggernaut. And Apocalypse is still attacking you at the same time. So you can see that Juggernaut can charge at you. And he just stays behind you, so you have to keep shooting behind you. Oh, and right there, I just took him out. You know what, I think I am going to turn the beeping back on. So now, I'm on to stage 2. As I mentioned, the stages get harder as they go on. Like, starting at stage 3, Apocalypse starts attacking you with some kind of cannon. Come on, hit him. So when he's up there, like when he's high up, you gotta jump and shoot upward. Or when he's doing that kick right there, you gotta jump and shoot forward. And sometimes, well, aw crap, I just lost a life right there. Come on, Apocalypse, I got you. I take it that jumping, or, okay, maybe it doesn't make you stop moving, it's just Apocalypse when he comes. Oh, come on! Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, like, what kind of attacks Apocalypse is gonna pull off. No, come on. Okay, so I just got a sun and regained health and... Okay, so there he is. Come on, I got you. Oh, so there's Juggernaut again, at the end of the second stage. He also throws some steel beams at you, which, as the instructions said, you gotta deflect with your lasers. Ah, jeez. Well, that's game over. But really, there's not really any point of going on. All 5 stages are pretty much the same, and it's not like there's any kind of special unlockable or anything like that. That's not exactly possible for Tiger games. But anyway, if I did make it to stage 3, I probably would have showed you a little stuff in like the Weapon X power-up that you dug and then collect, and that's the power-up that calls on Wolverine, and he gives you a hand. I believe only during the Juggernaut fight or something. But yeah, that's really what this X-Men game is like. I'm sorry if you can hardly even see it because of the reflection, but in fact, I can hardly even see it without having to look at my phone, because, well, obviously these Tiger games don't have any kind of backlight or anything like that. You have to hold it up somewhere where there's a bright light where you can actually see it. But yeah, it was, I was actually kind of glad to be playing something like this, because it reminds me of those mini Tiger games that I got from McDonald's. And really, well, these Tiger games weren't exactly all that impressive back in the 90s. They were absolutely nothing when compared to more, you know, like handheld systems like the Nintendo Gameboy, which I have right here. Surely these systems were more expensive, required more batteries, and you had to buy games for it. But it was still a lot better than any kind of Tiger device that... Yeah, they were better than any Tiger device like this one. Well, that's pretty much it. There really isn't much to discuss when it comes to Tiger games like this. They were pretty primitive, and, well, they only, you really only play them for like a little while before you get sick of them, because there's really not much to these. But yeah, these Tiger games, they're okay, but like I said, they're nothing when compared to other handheld systems, not to mention the handheld systems we have today, like the Switch. So really, I'm guessing that these remastered Tiger games are for those who want to relive the past, or something like that. In fact, I asked my older brother if he's ever played something like this, not to mention the X-Men game, and his response was maybe, so he may or may not have played anything like this. But, nah, who cares? So that's about it for the Tiger handheld game of X-Men. If you ever played any Tiger games like this and you like them, well, that's good to know, I guess. But I'm pretty sure you may have liked the Game Boy a lot more. Yeah, I really got nothing else to say, so thank you all for watching. See you all later.